Hello indie game fans, surprise releases are the best since you get to play these right now without having to wait, so let's begin with Smelter Forged in Hell, a free major update to an underrated action platformer strategy hybrid that is similar to Actraiser in many ways. This adds an action mode that allows you to skip the strategy portion altogether, turning it into a 2D platformer, as well as a boss rush mode with plenty of balancing changes, making this hidden gem even better. I was drawn to Running on Magic due to what else but the pixel art, where this auto-runner title looks absolutely stunning, especially in the environments and backgrounds. You play as a wizard chased by the Grim Reaper, having to run from left to right in order to escape your fate, but I cannot wait to see what else this developer makes.
You finally have arrived. I promise your death will be painful.
This video is brought to you by Dungeons of Sundaria, a classically designed dungeon-crawling action RPG that is retro in many ways, but not with regards to the 8 or 16-bit era, but the early 2000s PC games. It is an all-action, third-person hack-and-slash title where you create your own character, choosing from 4 fantasy races and 5 character classes. There are equipment and crafting systems, as well as the heroism progression system that allows your character to get more powerful, and with large dungeons filled with all sorts of monsters and bosses, does look like fun. Oh, this also has 4-player split-screen co-op, so grab a couple of friends and go, where it does come to us from the developer of Kings and Heroes from 2017, which was fairly popular as well. Developer Weird Dreams Studio has been experimenting and making smaller games of interest, with Undergrave being their latest, which is in fact similar to their earlier game Red Ronin, but tweaked and improved in so many ways. This is a tactical roguelite title set in discrete levels where you need to eliminate all your enemies, but where you can throw your sword, which changes up the strategy, definitely being worth a play. A curious title that got my attention is Video Horror Society, a 4v1 asymmetric multiplayer title that is similar to games like Dead by Daylight, where the trick here is that this game is free to play, so anyone can get in. Despite not being an 80s kid and not really caring for horror or slasher flicks, I do appreciate the 80s horror vibe of this, so here's wishing the developers all the best on the long-term success of this game. This might probably be the last time that I cover games like Cozy Time, since it is essentially a cute productivity tool that encourages you to do various tasks while it is left running in the background with lo-fi beats. Don't get me wrong, this looks very pleasant, but I'm afraid that we'll start to see an endless number of copy-pasted entries, but for now, enjoy this title. For a walk on the weird side of things, Pop Goes Arcade is a pixel art turn-based RPG that is, if you didn't catch it, a spin-off of the Five Nights at Freddy's series. Now, I'm not exactly a fan of that series, but I know people love it, where this looks like a much better turn-based RPG as compared to FNAF World, where this IP still holds weight in seeing how popular this game is. No lie, one of the most relaxing experiences in recent memory is Power Wash Simulator, where you're simply cleaning gunk off stuff, which is just so satisfying, being the latest in a long line of games going back to Viscera Cleanup Detail. This released out of early access with plenty of scenarios, nozzles, challenges, achievements and more, but this has sold an absurd number of copies and yet maintains an overwhelmingly positive rating, which is very impressive. One of the best games of 2021 is The Riftbreaker, an action RPG with base building and defense elements that has you fending off swarms of enemies, releasing its first DLC titled Metal Terror. The original trailer is supremely well done, including lines such as,
"To annihilate even more space aliens that are aliens to the original aliens,
and
with even more overpowered guns to bring back peace to the world that used to be peaceful before they arrived."
with this adding a new biome as part of the story campaign, with technologically advanced aliens and all sorts of new threats, making this great game even better.
From the makers of the Rift Breaker comes the Rift Breaker Metal Terror.
Speaking of great games, we also have the 1.0 release of Guardian Quest, a roguelite deck-building RPG that is similar to Darkest Dungeon, but does have its own twist. Positioning matters, and I like how many character classes there are, with a very addictive progression system and the sheer amount of campaigns and content in this. And for more games like this or Darkest Dungeon, watch this video and I will see you after the jump.